What's up, moviegoers? Welcome to the Marchio podcast. I'm your host, Anthony. In today's episode on the Marchio podcast, I'm talking about Scream 4. Scream 4 is directed by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williamson, and stars David Arquette, Neve Campbell, Courtney Cox, Emma Roberts, and Hayden Panettiere. The movie has a runtime of 111 minutes, with a budget of $40 million, and it grossed $97.1 million at the box office, and was released in April of 2011. Now, the fourth movie takes place on the 14th anniversary of the original Woodsboro murders and involves Sidney Prescott returning to the town after 10 years, where Ghostface once again begins to kill students from Woodsboro High. Like its predecessor, Scream 4 combines violence and the comedic elements of the horror genre and the cliches that happen. And this movie, the interesting thing is that the movie provides a commentary on the extensive use of social media and the obsession of internet fame. So the writer Kevin Williamson does return after being absent from the third movie. And to me, I think that's why the third movie was really bad. It didn't have that Kevin Williamson feel to it. But this movie, the fourth movie, it did. Now, the Scream series was only intended to be a trilogy, so only 3 movies and that was it. But the company behind Scream announced that a fourth movie was being developed. So, this was interesting because, all of a sudden you see a Scream 4 movie happening and you're like, okay, oh God, they're going to do more movies after it was only supposed to be 3. Here's the thing. Scream 4 made up for Scream 3 because Scream 4 was slightly better and much more interesting. The tagline for this is New Decade, New Rules. And that's what it was. It was New Decade and New Rules. We don't really get to see a lot of Neve Campbell or David Arquette or Courtney Cox a lot in this movie. They're more so just there as a background character. But we see a lot of the younger, generation, so-called, Emma Roberts, Hayden Panettiere. While this movie was good, the ending was definitely a callback to the first movie where it had 2 killers. Spoiler alert, there are 2 killers, just like the first movie. But it's different when you find out who the killer is and why the killer's doing what they do. And like I said before, because of the social media usage and internet fame, this killer wanted fame for all the wrong reasons. And why? The aspect of horror and scare weren't there at all. The aspect of comedy was there a little bit. There is a certain scene in it where the Ghostface killer just goes at one of the victims in her own room, and it's just a brutal murder. And it's the killer's injured, but they get away. And then you find out, later on, what the hell happened? What is going on? And then when you think everything's over, all of a sudden, it's not. The killer confronts Sidney in a hospital, has so forth like a ending to the Halloween 2 movie with Jamie Lee Curtis, and it has that feel to it, which is good. That's like the cliche of it. It goes to show the sole surviving hero is the one who should get the recognition. And I think Neve Campbell's character, Sidney Prescott, says one of the best lines in a horror movie, and basically says, don't fuck with the original. Don't do that. And it's true. Don't fuck with original horror movies. You make all these movies after that, but you can't go back to that first one because it's the best one. And it's true. Don't fuck with original horror movies. Keep it the way it is, and because if you try and change things, it's not that good. I like the story. I like how everything was going, but it did feel like it was a reboot of the first movie, and basically it was just the first movie all over again with the characters of, Dewey, Sidney, and Gail being much older and, passing the torch or the baton to the younger generation of horror moviegoers. And I definitely had to check this out when it came out in the movie theaters because I was a fan of the first movie when it came out in 1996. Like I said, this movie's execution was good, but it could have been better. The ending could have been more fun. Emma Roberts, though, phenomenal actress, and it shows in this movie. She's that sweetheart that you know and love, and it's great. And she's destined to be a great actress, just like her father, Eric Roberts, and her aunt, Julia Roberts. And the thing is that, Emma Roberts shows her acting craft in this, and even in the American Horror Story series that's on FX and created by Ryan Murphy. So if you want to see Emma Roberts do a fantastic job with her acting, check out Scream 4, because she's great. She definitely stands on her own with the other actors that are around her, and she actually one-ups every single one of them. And when she is, working alongside Neve Campbell in certain scenes, it shows, and it's great, and they work well off each other, and it's fantastic to see. Now, the interesting thing about this movie, sadly, was that Scream 4 was the final film to be directed by Wes Craven, who sadly passed away in August of 2015. So seeing this movie as the last movie that was directed by Wes Craven was good. He went out with a bang. He made a fantastic series of movies. He made The Nightmare on Elm Street, which were another fantastic series of movies. And when he brought back the horror genre in the 90s, he reignited Hollywood, as to say, the horror movies aren't dead. The horror movie genre is still alive and well. And this is what I have in store for you. So check this movie out and check this out. And that's what they did. And with Kevin Williamson's writing, and sadly he didn't come back for part 3, which he should have. It would have been, great. That was it. They closed out the movie. But part 4 happened, and, we got another part 4. So, what can you say? So, like I said, this episode is dedicated to Wes Craven, who is one of my horror go-to directors and one of my top directors in horrors that I absolutely love. And seeing him direct his last movie being Scream 4 was perfect, and it was a good way to, leave the industry, after so many years and, creating cult classics that he created, especially with his horror mind that he did and how he directed a lot of great movies with a lot of fantastic actors and fantastic writers. So Wes, this one's for you. So let me know in the comment section below what you think about Scream 4 and if you think it should have been made and included into the Scream franchise of movies. Or should they have stopped with Scream 3? Let me know in the comment section below. And also, what do you think about the twist ending in this movie? Did you like it, or was it a, weak callback to the first movie where there were 2 killers and not just, that normal one that was in Scream 2 or Scream 3? Granted, all the movies had twist endings and revealed the killer and why they did it. So I'm really curious to hear your answers. Now, even though you might think that Scream 4 was the last movie in the franchise, it's not. They're making a 5th Scream movie, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Neve Campbell, David Arquette, Courtney Cox, and Marley Shelton are returning in the roles from the previous movies. And it's not directed by Wes Craven because he sadly passed away in 2015, and it's not being written by Kevin Williamson. So I'm really iffy about this. How are you going to connect this? What happens? And please don't kill off Neve Campbell like you did Drew Barrymore in the first movie. Because if you kill off Neve Campbell in the beginning 30 minutes of this movie, that's it. It's not even worth seeing. Because I know exactly that's what they're going to do. And that's exactly why Neve Campbell's going to come back. Same reason why Jamie Lee Curtis came back for Halloween 8. Because she wanted her character of Laurie Strode to die off. And it did. And that's what happened. Because if you start Scream 5 and Neve Campbell is being, stalked by the killer, and then you kill her off like you did Drew Barrymore in the first movie, that'd be a stupid way. And then you have David Arquette and Courtney Cox's character trying to find out who the killer is in the entire movie, and that twist happens. I don't know. You might enrage and anger a lot of Scream fans, especially me. Hopefully the screenwriters and the directors don't do that, and the studio goes a different way. And hopefully it's a fresh new take on the Scream franchise of movies, and it's different because you don't have Wes Craven directing, and you don't have Kevin Williamson returning to write. Alright everyone, that does it for my Scream discussion. And you're probably wondering, where do I rank my Scream movies? Well, since there are only 4 of them, this is really easy ranking. Number 1 is the first Scream movie. Number 2, Scream 4. Number 3, Scream 2. And number 4, Scream 3. So there you have it, my rankings of the Scream movies. And let me know in the comment section below what you would rank the Scream movies. And be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new videos and new podcast episodes on the Marchio Productions YouTube page. And follow Marchio Productions on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And follow me, Anthony, your host, on Instagram and Twitter at misterfilmstock. And follow the Marchio Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll leave a link to all the social media accounts in the description box below. You can check it out and follow along. Alright everyone, that does it for today's episode. I'm your host, Anthony. Thanks for tuning in.
You forgot the first rule of remakes. Don't fuck with the original.